You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
The following takes place between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
The 91 Reasons Homestuck Gigapause is over. Yes, the hiatus is gone. Finally.
Did you miss us? We were gone a whole week.
We are back.
Why were we gone? Do you remember why we didn't do an episode last week? Do you know why? You're staring at me blankly.
I have no idea.
We opened a new ride at Knott's Berry Farm, so I was there 17, 18 hours a day. So we simply could not fit time in to do a show. So we took a week off. We're back. It's episode
24.
Like Jack Bauer. Boop, beep, boop, beep. Okay, so...
Wait, no. You know what this means?
What?
That means there's over 24 hours worth of our content.
Yeah.
That means you can go a whole day non-stop. Just listen every episode, binge watch.
Yes, binge listen.
Ah, yes.
You
binge
could
listen.
pour a bowl of cereal and listen so long that you'd pour another bowl of cereal the next morning. Think about that.
Wow.
24 plus hours of Homestuck goodness. I am Jeff Tucker. I am the voice of 91 Reasons. I am joined, as always, by our resident Homestuck experts who are...
Austin, Luna.
And thanks to Patreon pledger Vriska, who once again forced me to sit down. I almost finished all of Act 2. Where did I end?
Dave just opened up the attic and the pile of Smuppets fell out.
The pile of Smuppets fell out, and I have to ask why... I have to ask, where were we when it ended? Because why? Because I fell asleep.
You fell asleep.
Because that guy started messing around with his inventory again.
Sylladex.
His Sylladex. Over you reach up to your Sylladex cards. And what was the thing you were trying to explain? He has the machine and he's duplicating.
You put your capture cards actually have capture codes on them, so they're called that. If you put that code in a machine, you can stamp cards with holes in your punch dot matrix. And if you can use those to make totem labs, which you can put on an alchemy that will cost grist, which will create copies of the object.
But he hasn't used any of those objects. Why would you need a copy? Why would you need a copy of an item that you haven't used?
There's an extra use for it later on. You'll see by the end of the act or early next act, I think it is. That the whole alchemization thing is for something. You can do an extra thing with the cards.
Does it involve Dave Strider's sick beats?
You were finally introduced to more of Dave's story. You got to see his household with Bo and all those wonderful puppets.
Hey, anything's better than watching John Egbert dork around his house, avoiding Harlequins, and listening to that woman prattle on about, I've just thrown a bathtub at you, John. And he's like, why did you do that for? You don't throw a bathtub through the... I mean, nothing happens with this guy. At least Strider is like, should I do this? Should I do that? Mm-hmm. Did I make an episode of Saw by killing the puppets? At least something happened. Mm-hmm. I'm still not convinced that anything's going to happen. We haven't even met any trolls.
Get in the game. Trolls are Act 3.
We're like 3 or 4 hours into this thing, and nothing has happened. Nothing.
Homestuck is in sections. Acts 1 through 4 is just the kids messing around. Then that leads into the Act 5 section, which is trolls, and then Act 6, which is the next arc, and then Act 6, which is the final arc we're in right now.
Well, I am doing my due diligence as a Homestuck father, which means I have no features on my face and a lot of shaving cream, apparently. What did you just do to me at the store? You put a fedora on my head and told me I was what?
Dad Eggbot. I mean, you were buying saving cream. You had 2 bottles of saving cream in the cart.
Yeah, and I put a hat on, and I had no features, and I was
Just
Dad
a nose.
Egbert.
Just a nose.
Just a
And
nose.
Mom has just lips. Bro and Grandpa also have distinguished features, you'll see.
Well, we appreciate the support of Vriska and the Patreon pledge. I am slogging through it. I still owe a half hour you said on Act 2?
45 minutes.
This is where you get hooked, though.
Yeah, this is another new character.
Yeah.
Another new character.
Who
Oh,
has
this
You
is
saw him before.
you said it was Wayward, Vagabond.
The
Yeah.
guy in the desert with the computer.
But
what's his deal?
He doesn't have a Silodex. He has to manually pick things up.
so he spends the whole act picking things up.
Oh, I'm not gonna watch.
Yes, you have to.
Now,
Whiska's mind controlling you. You have to.
Is this the guy that you dressed up as at Comic-Con?
No.
That was a different exile. You mean?
You were
Act 4.
aimless renegade.
Act 3.
Act 3.
Aimless renegade.
Yes.
You'll be
Not
the
wayward vagabond. Those mean the same thing almost. Aimless and wayward are pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to continue our Homestuck adventure. How many acts has Collab created?
They just uploaded Act 6. What? Intermission 5? Intermission 4, I think they're on.
Wait,
So basically,
No,
you're saying
Intermission 3.
you're saying this is my life for the next year and a half, is what
Pretty
you're saying.
much.
Because by the time I get to the end, if Vriska still wants me to watch this, by the time I get to the end, it'll be like a train laying track somewhere down the line. Like, oh, no, there's more track.
Yeah.
Keep going. Oh, do you think we were finished? Oh.
But you get hooked. It gets better. Like, you'll be amazed at how amazing Act 5, Act 2 is.
I can't wait. I want to meet Dante Basco. I want to see Hussey in the strip.
Yeah.
I want to meet Carcat
When is
and
the first self-insertion?
Vriska.
Act
Oh, it's Act, no, it's,
3? No, it's Act 4.
but Act 3 you get a sneak peek.
Wait. Did you say self-insertion?
Yeah.
Can you use the word cameo?
No, self-insertion
That's
is the
way
term used.
self-insertion's way too. That's a double entendre. That's
The
dirty.
command is indulge in, what is it? It's indulge in highly indulgent self-insertion.
Oh, that's so awful.
Something like that. The first command he shows up as in Problem Sleuth, and it's become homoerotically interested in your fans.
Oh no! What's
Oh.
going on?
Dude, if you want to find out, you'll have to watch Prom Sleuth, which is a whole other amazing adventure. Did Collab do that?
A little bit.
A little
I don't know
bit,
if they did the
okay.
whole thing.
Welcome
Now-
to Problem Sleuth,
It was-
Episode
They
1.
did Jailbreak, and it's Senior
Yeah.
Pac-Man the entire way through.
Senior Pac-Man.
Problem Sleuth starts with a guy in his office picking up items with his inventory running around.
Yeah.
But by the end, it's amazing.
You've already lost me. You've already lost me. I probably have mentioned this before on the show, but like, Crack did a photoplasty. It was what if video games were more authentic? And the guy from Grand Theft Auto, remember that picture?
with guns on
He
his
had
back?
every single weapon like on his back. He looked like a turtle made of artillery. So I get the joke about the inventory, and if you want to carry this, you can't carry that. I mean, that was the whole thing of Resident Evil. Remember playing Resident Evil? It was the first game, I think, that you had to combine items.
Yeah.
You had to put the plant with this to make the first aid, and do this to that. And at one point, I was like, as much fun as I'm having on this game, I didn't show up to, like, combine things. I don't want to combine things.
Now, John combined the saving cream. Remember the 2 Bulbasaur cans? He put them together to make room.
Yes.
You combine the arms of the cake and smash his whole inventory into it.
Yeah.
Which was never used again.
Thank God. Well, again, thank you to Vriska for supporting the show. If you'd like to support the show in any way you can, go to patreon.com, Patreon, and you can pledge as little as $1. Every dollar goes to help the show. Thanks for all the Homestuck fans who are leaving reviews on iTunes. It's very kind of you. Thank you. If you haven't, please go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. It helps us in our search listings. I'm going to turn you now over to Austin and Luna, who told me right before the taping of this show that they have nothing to talk about.
I know.
I think what you should talk about, and this is just me, is you said somebody took you guys to task for your theories on the last episode.
Oh, yeah, they got a lot of...
So you've got a lot of rebuttals there. So I'll be back a little later to do some wrap-up. But take it over, Austin.
All right, so we are in the middle of a hiatus where nothing is happening. I know, amazing. No updates, no nothing, and we didn't get a big flash cliffhanger, you know?
Nope, nothing.
It was sort of just like a page.
Oh, wait, I'm not gone yet.
Oh.
I'm sure in the midst of this hiatus, you could just spend time playing Hive Swap, because it's supposed to come out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Release
yeah.
date.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They put up some interviews on their What Pumpkin page, like meet the team sort of things.
All I can say is he really should put up a video that's like, it's Andrew Hussey, and it's done in like really a crude flash animation. It's like, you go to release the Hive Swap game, and you knock off 3 other games in your release Sylladex. And like he just keeps trying to upload the game, and it keeps knocking out of his Sylladex. That's what I would do. All right, it's all yours.
Well, do you think HiveSwap will have Syllodexes? Will we finally get to pick up items in inventory?
Well, one, yes, we do, because there's pictures. We don't know if it's going to be a goofy system, but the inventory is drawn to look like a Sylladex.
Yeah,
it
but
probably won't have gameplay repercussions. But Sound Act 3, you actually do get to mess around with it.
Hey,
so that already
oh,
happened.
Real quick, just make sure that keeps doing that, okay? If it stops doing that, you're not recording. So that's all you got to do.
All right, so in the hiatus of nothing happening, we have the community ARG going on that Luna here has been obsessed with.
ARG.
You have been obsessed with this. It's all you do all day is go on the computer and look up this ARG.
Most people already know about it, but the really, really quick version is a website showed up at skya.io, and it asked for a code. And we found Curiously Existential, a Tumblr user and a admin of MissParp, and found that him and all the other MissParp admins are putting together a new roleplay site of some sort. And that if you want to get into the beta, there's 100 codes hidden on the internet. Now, some of them we had to decipher from coding in the page source. Some of them were hidden at obscure websites and stuff. Really weird, like... a lot of it went down to RPTC. The MissParp ban room is a whole separate website with its own hidden stuff. There was some hidden in sound files if you decrypted them correctly. The one they're after right now as we're recording is if you go on MissParp and go onto the Not Safe for Work tag, someone is role-playing and they're actually in on it. And if you roleplay not safe for work with them and say the magic word, whatever it may be, then they give you the code.
See, it's all a trap. There must be a point when you're role-playing not safe for work with this mod to get this code, when you realize, why am I doing this? It's all just a trick to role-play not safe for work MissParp. You know it is. You're falling victim to their plan. Their master evil MissParp plan. I'm sure it's like a not safe for work Gamquiz, because they're obsessed with Gamquiz for some reason. But moving on to all from Skya.io, wasn't it leaked what it was already?
Yes, but the people who did already get in and got a little bio that the creators said it's fine to leak out. It says that it's an overseer type project, which you don't know is a text-based. It's a suburb, almost all of suburb is on there, but it's all text-based. This is a sort of almost graphic version of it, but it's also got D&D elements with dice. And it's also got gigapause.com elements where it's also a social media site. The stage 1 that he's going to beta test is Dream Bubbles. It's everyone's in the Dream Bubbles together, and you can, it's like a forum chat plus dice-based roleplay game.
Sounds interesting. Huh.
It's just a really weird thing, and I can see why they need to test it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like gigapause.com, but, a lot less open gigapause.com.
Yeah, a very strict.
Yeah.
You gotta roleplay the real stuff here.
Yeah.
They know they wanted to be serious roleplay because he said the only way to get into the beta is to spend all day hunting down a super secret code hidden on the internet. And if you have enough free time to do that, then you have enough free time to be in the beta.
And you had to actually computer hack this and break in illegally.
No, he didn't do those.
No.
He said for a while he thought about making it, putting up empty websites and servers, and he said the only way to get the code is to hack them. But he decided against it, and now it's mostly MissParp stuff hidden on wiki pages. One was on fanfiction.net in a really bad smut fiction, and certain numbers were capitalized.
Huh. I don't know if I'll go on this website. I mean, I like role-playing, but I don't like having all these fancy rules and things. I just sort of like it being open to improv roleplay.
The Suburb game looks much more promising. There was also had a beta release this week. It's he's making a RP system on Unity, and his RP system is you actually run around as a sprite mode. It's almost Paper Mario-ish.
It looks amazing. It's always what I envisioned Hive Swap would be.
It's fully customizable. You can put in your own images to make your own lands and stuff and make collisions for them. And someone gets to be the client and move stuff around and spawn imps and stuff. And it's mostly for roleplay. There's no real goal.
I think it's brilliant that they did the image thing. You can just insert whatever you want in. You can make sprite seats on image goal and just pop them right in.
This week he released the beta he released the beta for the character creator. So you can go on and create your own characters and save them. You get to see how the class system is set up. Different classes and aspects give you abilities to use in game and stats. And you get to see the really cool menu, and it really looks like Suburb.
It looks really, really impressive. Now, is this going to go Homestuck style? Will he present this to What Pumpkin?
I don't think so. This is just his thing.
Well, What Pumpkin
Homestuck didn't present to What Pumpkin. What Pumpkin went to them and told them to stop.
Is What Pumpkin going to go to this guy and tell him to stop?
There's no talent at this point. I think they're a little preoccupied with Hive Swap right now.
Yeah.
They haven't talked to fans much at all.
But, I mean, there's nothing stopping him from making it and releasing it.
Yeah.
It's not like he can't do this. And it's odd the things Waitzel goes for and the things he doesn't go for. Like, so he didn't like Homestuck because it looked official, right? Because it had the Homestuck name on it. But you know what else looks official and has been around for years and is very professionally done? Homestuck playsets. He doesn't have a problem with that at all.
Oh, yeah.
The Gary's mod stuff.
That's just an add-on. It's not its own thing.
Okay. But yeah, there hasn't been much fan action yet. He doesn't tweet pictures of her contraband anymore. We still go to cons.
I'm blocked from her, so I don't see her stuff much.
Oh, poor Rando.
At least Rando is. I can log off from Rando and see her stuff or look on my phone.
If she's listening to this podcast, he already knows the whole Rando thing.
This is 24 hours in, so they're dedicated to find us.
I'm sure IPGD's listening.
I sent Pewkind the link to the podcast as Rando, so maybe they'll start playing at the Hive Swap Studios.
IPGD is currently scrolling through Hussy Twitter still, reading every last bit of info.
Oh, yeah.
And catching up on the latest Fact-Stuck updates. So, when we released the last episode, what were the problems in the comments?
Here we go. I have them up on my phone right here.
Oh, okay, here we go.
This Magic Mango Man says, he quoted no important things in that update. Says, are we reading the same comic?
Okay, that was the Whisker and Twezzy updates. The Scourge Sisters.
Yeah, I don't like Scourge Sisters. I never cared for them. Yeah. The story arc is dumb. We're gonna get back a lot of stuff from the comments for just me saying that right now, but I don't like their story arc. I don't like them. No.
I just find them unlikable. The way they're written, they just aren't likable, you know? They aren't relatable, really, and they're kind of just jerks to the other characters. The new Twezzy from the newer timeline just rubs off as kind of selfish.
I could just write them off and bring in Teal Tang's Scourge Sisters, and we'll be good.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, I'm angry that the last few years of the comic have been focused on them entirely, when you have much more interesting characters. Even right now, you have, like, characters like John and Roxy talking, and then you go right back to Twezzy and Vriska, and it's, like, something entirely different, you know? I've never really found them interesting, and they feel like they just kind of slow the plot down whenever we get to them, because I've never really cared for the plot, you know?
Okay. Here's someone else in the comments. This is Camlin Domino 88, and they say, wow, kind of early actually. Okay, totally disagree about Vriska being a villain here. She was never a villain to begin with. An antagonist maybe, but an anti-hero for sure, but not a villain. Hussy even said on her form spring he never intended her to be a villain. Blah, blah, blah. What she said about Jake is true. He's weak and useless.
He says that. What he says about Jake is true. He's weak and useless. Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone does not like Jake English.
Someone doesn't like Jake English. You have a Jake hater over here.
Hussy would feel strongly about that. I know he goes on a lot about the Jake haters on his Twitter.
Jake, while looking through the Miss Parp thing, I was on the Miss Parp forums, and it was just called Jake English Body Pillow. There's a whole comment talking about the Jake English Body Pillow.
Wow. But Hussy goes on about Jake apologists a lot. Was he going to have a Jake apologist party where they'd all wear Jake God 2 outfits and run around? Uh-huh. He invited IPGD and Toby. Remember this on Twitter? I can't believe Hussy. And then he posted another image that was the yellow shoes. He was going on about Toby's shoes. And he said, who else was Toby Sues? Everyone's fave with a picture of Jake Inglis.
Yep.
It's not even a canon sprite of Jake Inglis.
Yeah.
It's the God tier standing up, which is never shown in comic.
The party Hussey's gonna wear Jake English.
Yeah.
IPG's gonna bring the body bag.
Oh my god.
Pokemon Tom09 says, this is the first episode I've disagreed with pretty much everything you guys recapped and or speculated. That's harsh.
Okay, so the whole Whisker villain issue. Where do you stand on this? Luna.
Huh?
Whisker villain, yes, no.
Whisker villain, yes. Well, she's unbalanced. She has the potential to not be a villain if a medium is found. BYB said it great for once. For once, BYB said it great.
For a lot now. He's been doing really good lately. BYB's practically redeemed himself here with his
Punk
good
Vriska
theories.
and New Vriska are the opposite ends of the Vriska spectrum, both equally villainy and bad. They
Yeah.
need to find a medium, and then
Yes.
everything will be fine.
I completely agree that. But what I used for evidence in the last episode is despite Whisker acting like a Homestuck villain, he's drawn like a Homestuck villain. You don't just draw characters in a silhouette like that.
And we have a lot of
Okay?
people...
When he's all dark and shadowed, walking up in C's back. See, he looks like the Sobo Gamzee walking up. That's got to be an on-purpose callback.
We have a lot of people on here saying about that Rose did drink. She said that in one line in the new update. And we said she didn't.
Oh, okay.
I meant that she wasn't, like... drinking currently. I guess she's heavily drinking.
It tended
she
to be
was
a
stopped
thing
pretty early. It wasn't a plot point.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. It wasn't a plot point that she was drinking in this timeline.
Yeah, so he took a few drinks and then Whisker threw it on the ground.
Yeah.
And said, you can't do this. It's, The other Rose, however, whole plot line was based
And
around
then
it.
here's this Austin specifically.
Oh
saying
boy.
that Carcat's different now.
Well, what do they say on it?
That he's not.
What do you mean that he's not?
At the beginning, he looked more like a passive Carcat, but now we can see that he's pretty much normal Carcat.
No, he's an entirely different Witten Carcat.
He's not written differently. He's just got different attitude. The main line is saying that I don't want to be the leader anymore. What does he say about breath?
What do you mean?
He says some line about breath, about being not. He don't want to be a leader anymore. It's suffocating him, or he needs some from fresh air. I don't remember the line, but there's something about breath in there.
But no, look. This Carcat is an entirely different Carcat. The way he's written compared to that of Act 5, Act 2 Carcat is much different. That of Act 6
Not really.
Carcat.
No.
Because, think about it. He never Seuss-pathed Gamzee.
You keep saying that. What does that mean? What does that matter?
It means he never had the story of Moeligence with Gamzee. It also means that he never had any of the problems in his meteor. He never went to Trezia and said, look, I messed this up. I never said how to cross on you in the first place. I made a horrible mistake. These are all key moments in Carcat's story. Even if this is the same Carcat, how would he have changed without realizing his mistakes? I don't know. I feel like it's poor writing.
Poor writing.
Where this Carcat, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. It's just that he missed out on so much, and we didn't see much of this Carcat. I'm not attached to this character at all compared to the other Carcat. I'm not going to continue reading the story saying this is the same character.
It is the same character.
It's not the same character.
He went through the Act 5 events. He did that.
But he went through something entirely different. No, he didn't go through the Act 5 events. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
He never... No.
He had the exact same chats with Jade.
But I know
The
that.
exact same chats with John.
I know. But he never realized his mistakes in Act 6. He never had Mina bound, which is one of the most important character development segments. When he talks about it, how he believed in the Condis. All that chat. What was the point of that? He talks to Mina how he was going to probably form a small army and go against Lord Inglis, thought about hopping off the meteor. He also mentioned that he respected the Condis as a leader once he got things done. And then he goes to Terezi and shows her up. What was the point of the Carcat showing up Terezi scene if this is a different Carcat and different Terezi who never had those problems? That's a powerful scene in the comic that has no importance now. Do you see how dumb that is? You gotta see there's a problem here. No, you don't.
No?
Okay, we had an entire emotional scene where Carcat says to Terezi, I just want you to be happy now and be your friend. I really messed
But
up.
he didn't need to do that because Terezi didn't reach that point. He
So the
didn't need to
characters
do
never
that.
had conflict. The story was never good in the first place. It's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. I think it's a really, really poor decision, but I think it's on purpose because he's gonna somehow write the other Carcat and Trezzy back in via dream bubbles.
No, you're dreaming.
Then it's just poor writing. Then you can just say that Homestuck gets really bad at the end, but that's okay because what we got was good. Or you could just read through the comic just going, I mean, the writing's good right now. It's just that I can say I'm only attached to characters other than those characters, maybe? Because right now I have no attachment to Trezzy or Carcat or any of these characters because they didn't go through the same experiences. How do you feel about this? You're just okay with it. You're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, I'm just going with it. The comic's taking weirder turns.
No, it's not weirder terms. It's poor writing. I'm not happy with it. And then when Vriska starts talking about how they're gonna go kill Spade Slick, Carcat just kind of stands there, has a sad thought, and then continues. I want Carcat to finally realize, no, you're not gonna hurt Spade Slick. He's our friend. We can work with him to take down the Condis. Why isn't Carcat the leader here? Why doesn't he finally redeem himself as a leader?
He's not a leader. He's given up.
How come he doesn't go, hey, Vriska, this plan's terrible. I'm going to take control as leader, and I'm going to make so things go right.
That can't happen yet. That's the end of Carcat's story.
Yes.
Do that until the end of his story.
This is supposed to be the end of Carcat's story. It's the end of Homestuck. He said there was only 400 pages left.
No, he never said that. There's 400 pages to get somewhat halfway through this act. And then we have 2 more acts to go.
So you're saying we're going to get a whole Carcat section after this whole Vriska thing?
What you're saying of the Carcat rising up moment could be 2 seconds of a flash of it goes dun 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 dun, and there's everyone dead, and then Carcat stands up with his big sickle and the song goes dun, 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 and then everyone stands up again. That's it. That's his big moment.
That's horrible. That's
all it takes.
That's not all it takes. No, stop. Stop.
Don't scream.
Stop.
Please don't scream.
That is the worst, most quality thing ever. Even if that happened with the Scored sisters, I'd be disappointing. Characters, I don't even care for the story arc. If they got a payoff that bad, I'd be disappointed.
Did you see Spade Slick's payoff in Cascade? When they're on the roof, that was like a 2-second shot. And that was his whole story.
It had dialogue. It had pull the trigger slick and all that. It had... it was so good. And that wasn't the end of his story. It kept going, and he kept getting more scenes. That was just a really, really well-written scene with fantastic art. There's a difference between Spade Slick on the rooftop being forced to shoot Snowman, and then a final battle as a Sprite Mode Carcat waves the sickle, and then everyone gets healed or something dumb. I don't know what you just thought of, but it might be the worst Homestuck flash I've ever seen.
Aimless Renegade got his payoff in the Cascade Flash, 2 seconds. He hit the button to blow up the dog thing and save the day, and then was killed 2 seconds later.
Aimless Renegade gets, let's see, a few hundred pages, but no dialogue. Carcat gets thousands of pages of dialogue and memos that apparently now don't exist. You know, all of Meanabound, all the chats with Gamzee that apparently don't matter anymore.
All the chats with the Gamzee. You mean 1?
I think
no, 0. He had 0 chats with the Gamzee after shish-papping him.
I think Carcat sus-papping Gamzee is a crucial moment to the comic. And the fact that you retcon out of existence...
I don't see why that moment's more important. That's so important. I can kind of see Meanabound. But I don't see why the shish-papping is so important.
Whether that gets another payoff later again or not, that scene is important. Same with the Carcat Trezzy scene where he cheers her up. Those scenes don't have to have payoff. They don't have to mean something to the story. They're the humanity in the story. They're the characters we care for having tender moments and scenes that are really powerful.
Carcat Gamzee was the worst pale ever.
That's what made it, is that he finally rose up and realized that it even tied into the Trezzy story. He finally realized this Quasian Trezzy was dumb, but he's his friend, and he had to stand up and save her because Gamzee was hurting his friends, and then his other friends matter more.
Did not save Trezzy. He failed miserably.
But
papping him right before Cascade didn't save Trezzy 3 years later.
I think the problem here with the new timeline is you're saying everything can go right, but you're taking all the humanity out of the story. You're saying, who cares about tender moments in important scenes? Because they are important to the plot. They don't move things forward. They're just dumb, romantic, or tender moments that we get thrown into the story. But they do matter. They're the characters we love, having dialogue, and Carcat being human, which is kind of ironic because he's an alien. But that's what makes the story. And it's dumb to say that didn't happen. It's just dumb.
This is the kind of stuff that I'd be scared of if we were complete serial readers since the beginning. Because this argument you have is exactly the argument people have every single time a new part of Homestuck begins.
What do you mean?
The argument of, we don't care about these new guys. We want the old guys back. They were given the humanity of the story, the real character depth. Exactly what people said when the Trolls were introduced, when the Alpha Kids were introduced, and now when the new Retcon Kids were introduced.
But you don't understand. It was set up from Act 5, Act 2 that the characters would survive when the Alpha Kids came. Their entire purpose was, hey, we're gonna find a way to exist, whether these guys, whether these chumps are here or not. And yet, now Hussey's completely written them off, and you're saying they're not gonna go back into the story, as we're not gonna get a Dream Bubble scene of the Game Over characters, because you're saying they just don't matter anymore.
Enough of them have already come back. He did Rose, he did Jasper Sprite, he's probably gonna do Bro and Nana.
I just said, here we go. Did I really just say, oh my god, I want Carcat back into the story, and you apply with, it's okay, Jasper Sprites back into the story? So we can have 2 Jasper Sprites, but not 2 Carcats?
No.
The 2 Jasper Sprites are different enough that they can
There's
exist?
only the one Carcat. Because his whole story arc is he's the only one of his kind. There are 2 Carcats, I don't even know.
Well, no, you're missing the point. You don't understand. We have to have these characters. Like, if I actually was a big fan of Terezi, I'd be really disappointed at what happened with her. Because
she's not getting beat up?
No.
Yes, that's exactly
Because
what
this
you
new
said.
Terezi is completely selfish.
You'd rather her be drunk and dying
No.
and not blind?
No. I'd rather her wise up and get her events on Gamzee.
Well, Terezi, she did. She created a whole timeline where she got her revenge.
I guess.
Terezi is the seer of mind. The retcon is her story arc.
Well, I
She
guess
fixed her life by fixing it in the past, which is the thing you can do in Homestuck.
I guess that's why I don't like her story.
This is all part of her story arc.
Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't...
We
Okay.
say the same thing for John and Roxy. Their story arcs involved going back and fixing things.
But they're still John and Roxy. They had all the same past experiences they had. John still had that moment when he saw his dad dead and rose up against Beck and fought him, where he had to kiss Rose because he thought he could revive her, you know? John still had all those tender, important moments in Homestuck. And you could go out on a limb and say some of them don't matter. I'm sure there's a few John Pestalogs you could say, oh, that's unimportant, you know? But they are important. Whether John progressed in the game of Suburb or not, there were probably a few chats he had that are important to his character.
John is still the main character. This is still his story.
Yeah.
Everyone else is supporting.
So you're saying it's okay to wipe Carcat and completely start from a new Carcat? Why? Why are you saying this? Do you have no attachment to the characters?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You don't know. The characters never had the touching moments. This doesn't sock you in any way. This
I
doesn't...
did. I read them. It happened.
But he retconned it with these new characters.
Yes.
And that's why the
It's
new...
called writing.
It's not called... No.
Hussey
Absolutely
didn't
not.
literally delete stuff off the website. It's still there. It still happened. This is all part of the story.
But then, I can't imagine reading this as a whole thing right now. Because you read through all this fantastic story and you go, this is really good. And then you get to that one part where it says, oh, if you know that stuff, you just read, throw it out the window. We're starting fresh. Here's a quick flash of what happened
Act
again.
5, Act 1. See Act 6, Act 1.
What do you mean? With the Scrats? With the Alpha Kids?
Yes.
No.
Forget everything you knew. We're starting over again.
We saw Jade break through the Battle fourth wall. We know they're okay, though. So we're okay with going with these characters.
Hussey writes in the same loops over and over again since the dawn of Hussey writing.
So following that, then you all believing what I said a few minutes ago, that the game over selves all somewhere in a dream bubble.
Yeah, it's called Rose
Media.
Sprite. And she's sitting right next to them.
You can't use Rose as your only proof. What about the other characters?
Vriska. She's gonna go beat up Vriska right now.
What about Carcat, though?
Okay, I'll tell you this. Unless we get a walk around Flash, like some people are thinking, the limited pages we have left, probably about 800.
No, it's never gonna end.
There's not enough time to dedicate that much time to the old Doom cells because they're not important anymore. Remember, becoming doomed is a meta thing. When you become doomed, you're not plot relevant.
That's why you have a story arc about the game over characters realizing that you all have a reason to live, and they're all here for a reason, whether you're doomed or not. That should be the other Carcat storyline. Then that's what it should be.
They just said in the update, every single person agreed, yeah, Dave Sprite's dead, he doesn't matter. Oh, Dave Sprite doesn't matter, he's dead. Yeah, he never was the real Dave.
That's why I want the older Game Over selves to go, no, Dave Sprite did matter, and we all play a part. And that's why the Game Over selves should be there. They should be the ones to stand up to the other selves.
Vriska's army of the undead that she just led into death and said they didn't matter.
That's the problem. That's why
the comic has been reoccurring over and over again that Doom selves don't matter. They're just soldiers you can use up. There's the only alpha ones matter.
So that's why.
And the problem is, throughout the entire comic, there has never been someone saying otherwise. When you have plot devices like that, you have to have some to show you that it's negative. There's no character in Homestuck who is standing up for Dave Sprite or standing up for the ghost.
Someone is.
Every single one agrees, yeah, they're worthless. So I don't know if Hussey's really going to go the route of they're not worthless, they will get their moment. Because
that's what I want.
There's no one in the comic to give them that moment.
I want Doomed Callcat to go, fine, I'll lead him. We all have a reason to live. You gotta quote Bowman there.
If Dave Sprite was still alive and he was there ranting about how he's important, I wouldn't have some giant theory post that Dave Sprite's going to go into the dream bubbles and lead an army of the dead against the alpha versions. But it's not happening. Hussey is stopping any voice of reason in the comic. There's only characters who are against the Doom selves.
They're all just agreeing with Whiskas here. Yeah, they're unimportant. Which is terrible.
There's the question of the Homestuck's the last segment now. Which direction is Hussey going in? Is he going the direction of that's all plot set up so that the ghosts and will eventually get their rise to power? Or is that a meta thing to the fans saying there's a lot to juggle? Please only pay attention to the alpha versions. It's all I can handle writing wise. They're the important ones. Focus on them.
That sounds really lazy and bad. That sounds like he just wants to end it as fast as possible. So he wrote this really dumb 500-page ending to quickly wrap things up by retconning so nothing ever happened. That's poor writing, and no. If he was going that route, he would have known it years ago and never have made Metabound. I mean, he made Metabound at the same time of Hive Swap. There had to be a reason he wrote that much dialogue for Callcat, for Dave.
He did it to sell a video game.
Now you're just saying Hussey's in it for the corporate part and he doesn't care about his characters, which is horrible, because yes, he does.
You can't use the Metabound characters as an example of Hussey caring about his characters. Because he literally took 12 characters that could have been important to the story and made them all Tumblr jokes in one page only.
But, okay, those are the Alpha Trolls, they don't matter.
Exactly. Those are 12 characters with complete backstories he wrote that potentially could be extremely important canon characters to the plot, and he wasted them as throwaways.
They might be important, you know? But they seemed more like purposely...
Once again, if they become... There's only enough time that if the Alpha Trolls become important, it's a one-page, they stand up and do something moment. There's not enough time for a full arc for them.
Partly why I feel the Alpha Trolls were there is they were purposely cheesy to make the actual characters feel bad.
From a writing stance, making a character purposefully cheesy is saying you can't juggle them all. And that leads more into the don't worry about them. They're the non-canon versions. Only remember the main cast. Those were one-page jokes.
But then you're saying, forget the main characters. I'm so lost. Why? No. Just absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. No. Absolutely not. Just no. 100% no. Someone's gonna stand up. Someone's gonna finally stand up against Vriska and say these selves are important.
Unless Dave Sprite's alive, I can't think of a single character in the entire comic who would
Jade.
do that. Jade's canon. She's sleeping right there. Normal Alpha Jade.
You don't think Silgo? Hey, wait a second. Aren't these people important?
No, because what
do you mean no?
The story arc will only make sense if it's a non-important character standing up for his own kind.
Oh.
Dave Sprite would work great if he's alive.
Well, what about...
Cancri might work as a one-page goof-off ending to the story arc because he's the sufferer, so he's going to stand for his people.
No.
But there's no way to make that serious.
So you're just saying that, like, if we're lucky, we might get a glimpse of, like, the original Callcat as a doomed self in some random flash in the background.
The best bet to get him in is still a walk around, because I don't see Hussey devoting any much panel time to this character who, unless he's going to pull something and make him a major character, like give him the ring or something. But I don't see why you'd do that. There's so much better use of your time. Use of panels.
There's so much better use of your time than bringing one of your main protagonists back into the story.
Well, there is when that main protagonist is sitting right in front of the main characters. You don't need a second one of him.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
You really don't.
You really do.
Why do you think Rose Sprite showed up and normal Rose started breaking down like, this is it, there's no point to this. Paradox Space didn't plan for this because it's completely pointless. There's no payoff for this. It's a joke. She literally said that.
Yeah, but...
And that's more Hussey either setting up a story arc or Maida saying it's unimportant, don't worry about it.
I don't know. I mean, like... okay.
The Seer of Light specifically told you, the reader, that these characters have no plot significance anymore. So do you believe her or think Hussey's still gonna pull a twist?
Okay, so, like, think of Back to the Future. Imagine if at the end of Back to the Future, when Marty said...
Like if they retconned his parents and the old parents never came back and he was just rich and famous forever, and whatever happened to the non-rich and famous Marty?
Well, who cares?
Or if he went to a Wasteland alternate version with all these alternate versions and they were just written off right after immediately and never worried about their timeline again?
Okay, first off, there's alternate versions. That was the villain. He had to be written off because he's the villain. He's the Lord English.
I'm talking about the Marty who was in trade school across seas in the Vegas version.
Okay. You're talking about...
There's another Marty out there who's just as important. He had just as much character development, but they're not talking about. Why didn't he come back?
But he didn't.
Why didn't all the different Martys show up in the end?
He didn't get much screen time. Did he get any screen time?
No, he's mentioned in one line of
Oh,
dialogue.
come on! You can't use that as
But
proof.
he still went through the same experiences.
No, imagine this. Imagine if this happened. Imagine if at the end of Back to the Future, Marty finally fixes the timeline, right? But he disappears from all of existence. Because there's a new Marty in the new timeline.
That happened.
But
Except it was the new Marty that disappeared, not him.
imagine if it was the old Marty, there's just a new Marty, and the end movie ends with Marty going, I never had any problems in life, oh well. And this Marty never had any of the experiences he had by going back in time. He never had any touching moments. He never had any important scenes. That's terrible.
But if he had those experiences, then he would have made himself disappear. So, in that case, it would have been impossible to close the loop in a good way. Under those time travel conditions. But the time travel conditions of Back to the Future and Homestuck are different. Especially when you bring retcon into effect.
Just imagine this. Imagine if, right, the new Star Wars movie opens up, right, and there's Luke, all old, and the new guy walks up, right, and he's like, oh my god, you saved the Death Star. And he's like, what are you talking about? I never saved the Death Star.
There's no time travel in Star Wars. Where are you going with this?
There is now. Imagine if they
There is
magically
now.
introduced time travel, right, and they never blew up Alderaan to save all those people. They never blew up Alderaan. But in return, none of the main characters ever went through experiences. Han Solo is just some old smuggler guy. Nothing special.
You're saying Han Solo's love story is more important than the lives of millions?
No! I'm saying from a movie
That's exactly what you're saying.
From a movie point of view, we can't erase important events from main characters.
But then you're imagining a time travel scenario where Han Solo's got his hand on a time travel button, and he says, Leia, if I press this button, I won't be in love with you anymore. But Han, you'll save the lives of millions. And he hits the button and it fades to white, and that's the end of the movie. That would be a touching ending to
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great, except...
That's what happened. Terezi hit the button. Saved her relationship. I'll never love you, Gamzee. Good. Hit the button.
That's exactly what it is. Okay. I need to find a better example. I'm trying to go with Carcat's story here, not Terezi's. You're right.
But Terezi was the one that hit the reset.
Yeah, so I'd love for Carcat to walk up.
Scratch, it was Carcat. Even though both times John did the retconning and John scratched the disc, it was the first time Carcat and the second time Terezi doing the reset. First time they found a way around to live. Second time they didn't.
Which they will. I mean, I really want Carcat to go on a rant in Gogan's Whisker, and I really want him to say to John, we had this entire thing with the Scrats, and I spent so much work because we were scared to not exist, John, and yet here you are, and you just did it. Because, remember the line AR says, I'm scared to not exist. It seems to be a theme in Homestuck. Carcat wants the Scrats, everyone wants the Scrats at the end of Act 5, Act 2, because they want to exist. Okay? They don't want to be wiped away with the video game. They don't want to know what happens with that. So you're telling me that this entire time, Jade, Karkat, and Kanaya plan the scratch. They're gonna do it. They're gonna live. They're gonna live this thing.
They did with the window.
And they did. And then bam, just like that, they get wiped away by some newer selves who had encountered different things. Different selves. In Jade's case, a worse version of herself. Do you see the problem?
What do you mean worse?
This Jade lived through 3 years crying.
Are you saying worse emotional-wise or worse written-wise? Because from a writing perspective, what you're saying that sadness and conflict equals good writing. I think being alone for 3 years and having to suffer for that is more interesting than they derped around and played Ghostbusters for 3 years.
You're right about
This
that.
Jade has
actually.
a better story.
So,
you're going by
does that mean-
your thing.
Does that mean this Jade's gonna be a better character?
Well, we saw with Calliope. And pretty far, yes.
I love that scene. That was the story that I'm like, oh yes, we're going back to Calliope and Jade. I just want like Tim Darcy to focus the next few hundred pages on Jade. Just keep focusing on Jade. So in that
was
case,
not the real Jade. You don't like that Jade. You
wait,
want the old Jade. back.
Okay, never mind. I take it back. This Jade's cooler. This is a much better Jade because this Jade, you're right. See, learned from a lot more. What I'm trying to say is that characters have to have conflict, which is why this Jade is probably going to be better, which is why this Karkat's worse. Characters has to have conflict. There's a reason that Punk Vriska learned from her mistakes, and this Vriska's still just as bad, because Punk Vriska realized from her mistakes. She learned what she did was bad.
But Punk Vriska is just as bad, too, because she's too passive. Vriska's not supposed to be a passive character.
This Vriska's finally realized her mistakes. What's the problem?
The problem is that there's no problem. She's too good.
What does that mean?
That's
That's
what
fine.
happened because of Vriska.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if Hussey really is taking this route I want, what he should do is he should have the story follow new Jade. I completely agree there. And the new Wetcon Jade is probably a better written Jade than the one on the Meteor. Because the one on the Meteor, all we did was dope around and from what we can tell was in a horrible relationship with Dave Sprite. That never really got her anywhere. So this is probably a much better Jade. And considering he had that much time to explore the planets, he probably knows everything there is to know about Suburb. So, this Jade's fine. I have no problem with this Wetcon at all. It's not attached. It seems to be the problem I have is not being attached. Okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the problem I have is not, oh, I only want the original characters. The problem is I like having characters that learn from their mistakes and have good writing. So, this Jade is better. I will agree there. And I messed up my wording there, and it made me sound like the other Jade who played Ghostbusters was a much better Jade. No, she wasn't. This is a better Jade, okay? This Trezzy, I mean, she completed a story arc, so I guess in a way, so. This Karkat, no! Absolutely not. I mean, come on, we got that panel of him, we're holding WV and Dave dancing around a circle, it's almost laughable. Something's going on here.
Karkat smiled.
Creepily, it's terrifying.
Yes, remember Karkat's... You're reading about Karkat's story arc. What is Karkat's story arc about? What is his story arc?
Karkat's story arc is about realizing that his friends mean more than the video game or the Condis. That, in the end, it's his emotions that go above all. No matter... He always puts people first in situations. That's how I would see it. And I would see that if Vriska was ever going to kill someone for the sake of the plan, Karkat would immediately stand up and stop her.
Because he's Knight of Blood.
Yes.
Protector of relationship.
Yes. That's why I always see him like that. That's why I thought he would stand up against...
That makes sense for his god tier. But his story arc
should be his
is
god
the
tier.
frog. The fact that he messed up the frog the first time around.
But that's sort of all connected with his relationship with Jade and Kanaya at the end of Act 5, Act 2. He tied it together really well.
And that's going to happen again because they have to go meet Echidna now.
So...
Echidna's going to explain things to Karkat.
Explain
Who knows,
what?
you may get your wish. The Karkat may show up like, Echidna, you wanted to speak to me? Yes, Karkat, I want to blow. She just blows him up.
She just blows him up right there. Oh, you know what? This Karkat might sacrifice himself to Echidna to save his
But
friends, and that's how you pay off this Karkat.
Because this is the last Karkat left. This one dies, we're out of Karkats, and we still haven't had one die next to Terezi yet.
That has to happen.
That has to happen. So he has to be with Terezi when he dies.
And that could happen because this cat never broke up with Terezi like in Mina Bound.
But he was never with her in the first place.
Oh my God, this wet
He never
kind.
had a crush on Terezi. Terezi
No.
was with Vriska.
He never went across and he never broke
Karkat
up.
was with David
See,
the
it's
Man.
just an entire arc deleted. And you can go, well, that arc didn't matter in the first place. Well, yes, it did. Because it was interesting and we learned a lot about the characters. But now saying it doesn't matter is dumb. You know?
Remember, though, the only thing that matters is that John Egbert completes his beta video game. That's the only storyline that matters in all of Homestuck. Everything else
No.
is side characters.
No. The
Side
ending
plots.
to Homestuck is realizing that this video game doesn't matter.
It's the only way to make a new universe. They'll
They're
probably
not-
end up creating it from the whole session, a new multiverse, using the whole paradox space as a giant session. But it's still John Egbert must play a video game.
John Egbert's probably going to die looking at the door and not walk through.
He has to walk through.
No, he's not going to walk
does.
through. He's going to realize his friends matter more than though.
It started with him playing a video game. It has to end with him beating a video game.
That's what
It's
you
the
think.
only way to
By
do
the end
it.
of Homestuck, everyone's going to be in the bubbles, and John's going to be the slowly dying, looking at the door. When he finally
Whatever-
realizes he can take this and rule as an evil god and be
Whatever
alone for
the-
thousands of years, or he can let go and join his friends in the dream bubbles, and that's what matters. And he realizes that humanity is more important than the video game.
That's not quite how it should be written. The way the writing is set up, the final section of whatever happens when they beat the game and John hits the door and the comic fades to black, the last section has to be completely understandable to a reader who only has knowledge up to Nana's monologue. Because that's the ultimate payoff. The first story arc is, John, you must ascend the gates and defeat Skaya and claim your prize. It must end with John raising through the gates, beating Skaya and claiming his prize.
I guess you're right about
Because
that.
that's the whole over arc of the comic. It's been going on since Act 1.
Oh, I know what you do.
Everything else is closed within the acts themselves. But the first moment and the last moment have to close in each other.
Okay, here's what I got.
It'll end on some remixed version of Note of Desolation Flash, with John looking up at the sun.
Here's what I'm thinking for ending story arcs. I'm thinking Carcat he's not going to go to the door. He's the one who's going to realize his friends matter more, and he doesn't need the ultimate reward.
I'll say, I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if Act 666 ends with every storyline finished except John's, and then Act 7 is just a flash of John, because he's the main guy. Like, it'd be similar to the King's Cross scene
here's
with
what I
Harry
think.
Potter.
Here's what I think.
But the only problem against that is that, yes, that's how it should be written, but Hussey's style of writing isn't that, and the Prom Sleuth epilogue was about Captain Snoop Dogg, who didn't show up till halfway through the comic.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. The end of Act 666 is going to be Carcat realizing he doesn't need the ultimate reward. That's how you pay off it.
Yes.
Because he's always gone about how this is all universe. He finally realizes, I don't need the ultimate reward. I already have it. And he looks at the beta kids. And he looks at all the trolls. And he realizes his friends matter more. Then you cut to the last scene, which is John high-fiving Nana Sprite for the last time, like he high-fived the Harley Quinn and Coral Sprite. And then him finally saying goodbye to Nana and walking through the door. The end. There you go. How about that?
Unless Hussey splits Act 7 or breaks the act thing, most of storylines will be wrapped up by 666.
I think what you said is good. I think they should all be wrapped up by then.
Yeah.
The end of Act 6 would be the last story arc. That's it. Everything's done.
Act 7 should be really slow, really mellow, just a few flashes using like Showtime. And
John talking to
doing
Nana
something.
for the last time.
Maybe not Nana, because Jane is existing now. Nana's not that important.
Huh? Oh, but no. It started with Nana explaining it and him high-fiving the Harley Quinn Coral. It's got to end with him
started with
high-fiving
just-
Nana for one last time.
Nana didn't come in for an act and a half. It started with just John.
Oh.
Just a kid waiting for a video game. So it should end with the kid beating a video game.
Okay.
The last page should be a man stands in his something.
A man stands in his new universe.
Yeah.
It just so happens that today...
A young god stands in his universe.
Yeah.
It so happens that today, the 25th of October, is this universe's birthday. Blah,
Okay.
blah, blah, or something.
And then we get that epilogue.
Something really slow, because 666 is going to be the giant action scene, the troll culture payoffs and stuff. But Act 7 has to be very human, very desolate, just a very mellow moment.
And then the end of the comic is going to cut forward, years in the future, but not many. And it's going to be the full Cantown bit with WV in the Dream Bubbles.
Maybe.
And then it's going to be WV walking as he gets alerted that a mysterious exile is sewed up. And Joey looks up, and then it cuts to black. There you go, Joey Clay.
I have never been a
There you
fan.
go.
I've never been a fan of post-suburb AU.
What? No,
I've
no.
always been bent
What?
on they're gonna touch the door and it's just gonna end, and he's not gonna show it because you don't need to show it. The kids create a new universe. The end. You don't need to learn about it.
But I feel like some of them at least have to learn that the new universe doesn't matter. I mean, Jade's still well because he's always isolated. She has to realize that she's... I don't know. I think it's bad for some of these characters. Like, it would be bad if it just ended with Whisker going, yeah, I get to be a god now and take all the power. And
She just said in the last update she didn't want to be.
Okay.
In the last update, she said no one should be a god because no one should have that kind of power.
Okay. So what's he gonna do then during the end?
She has a plan. She's gonna go beat up her punk self and do something, but we don't know what. Something with the ultimate
like-
juju.
I understand John beating it, but it'd be like really bad if Carcat Jason would have been going, finally I get my reward, and then he opens the door. Carcat can't open the door. That'd be bad.
Yeah, it would be. Karkat has to do something to help finish the game.
Yes, he's got to do the fog bleeding.
because he failed his game so badly.
The last thing he'll do is get the correct frog, and then finally realize the ultimate reward doesn't matter.
He has to be the one to make the Genesis frog that's sent back to Jade.
Yes,
Even though for some weird reason it's AH who does it.
with the measuring stick.
Because we know the measuring stick was left behind on the frog panel in the transportalizer.
Why does Carcat have the measuring
The
stick
purifier.
Then why does Carcat have the measuring stick?
What do you mean?
If Carcat sends it back, then why does he have the measuring stick?
Why doesn't he? Yeah.
It's got to be Carcat. That's how you finish a story.
Well, he can make the frog. But it's somehow, I guess, going to be AH who sends it back?
AH is spying on Whisker. By the way, he's gonna show up again in the new updates.
All I
It's
know is
gonna be great.
the big man
Right?
stick was there. And,
That's a really important Homestuck item to just throw on the ground there.
Yeah.
And it's taken. They point out so much.
It's a potential juju breaker. Even though it got cut in half, so I don't know.
It's a juju itself?
No.
No, it's not.
Well, maybe.
It could be
It's
a
just
juju.
an object.
It's an important
We
object.
don't know what makes a juju yet. We haven't got that.
Yeah,
Just some things are.
most likely the soul theory that BYB came up with.
No.
No?
Even that theory only covers jujus that have souls put in them to give them magical properties.
Oh, why?
BYB still doesn't have a theory. No one does on where
Here we
jujus
go.
come from in the first place. The only one confirmed is Cal, who started as a horror terror.
Here we
Not
go.
horror terror, a chuckle voodoo.
All right, here we go. End of Homestuck crack theory. Let's do this. End of Homestuck crack theory. Caliborn puts everybody's souls inside Jujus. Now, the only person that can seek out the souls and realize they're in there is someone who can understand the emotion inside of them. Yes, on the podcast now. Here we go. Carcat, the Knight of Blood. He seeks out the Jujus and realizes that his friends are in them. Okay, so he walks in. Caliborn's here on a throne with the ruby slippers on.
No one's getting your reference.
Return to Oz! The Disney Wizard of Oz film. It's a fantastic, really dark Wizard of Oz film where the people of Oz get turned to stone and the Scarecrow gets turned into... His soul gets trapped inside an object, a collection of emeralds. They all do. They all get their souls trapped in important magical objects that Dorothy has to seek out. Come on, that's gonna be it. That's our finale right there. Carcat is Dorothy.
Then Carcat picks up the cup of the carpenter.
Yeah.
You're like, this one. This is Dave, that piece of trash.
There you go. What do you think? The Return to Oz ending. You just want to see Caliborn and the Ruby Slippers admit it. Caliborn is the Gnome King, come on.
Jade hasn't died and lost her slippers in this timeline. She probably will.
Oh god, she probably will.
As the Wicked Witch, she has to lose her slippers. Preferably from a house falling on her head, but we already did that, so it'd be kind of redundant for it to
Well, we've
happen
already
again.
seen this Jade die. Whole soul gets ripped out by Caliborn into a house. That's exactly it.
We don't know if that's the right one. There's a lot of theories that it's not them, that it's doomed versions, that it's the game over, dead ghosts, that it's just random corpses that have been puppeteered by Dirk with empty souls. So, There's no telling. There's no telling if the claymation scene's even going to happen now that it's been retconned. Single Cherub says it's going to happen. Double Cherub says it doesn't have to happen.
Huh. Hasn't it already happened?
Exactly. So it doesn't need to be shown. It already
It's
happened.
a complete
and then
loop.
It already happened and then was stopped from happening. So it doesn't have to happen anymore.
Oh my god, it hurts my head. I mean, we saw the house juju. Mm-hmm. Who has it now?
Aradia.
Oadia. Okay.
Vriska and Mina left it on her in the Mina's castle.
Oadia
Where
would
Aradia
carry that
was.
around. Mm-hmm. It's got 4 dead souls in it for her. So
There's
of course.
possibly 2 Aradias now, because people in the bubbles aren't affected by retcon. So Aradian Sulks weren't affected, and then another Aradian Sulk showed up.
It's not the same. How about this? Is Tavros Sprite the one from the Dream Bubbles or not? The one that flew off and middle fingered Whisker? Like,
There's no way confirming one or the other.
it's a different Tavros corpse, but that Tavros went to the Dream Bubbles, so it's just possible, and they threw that in and registered it as the other
Most
Tavros.
like you know what? There's one line you can infer. Tavros said, "Wow, thanks for bringing me back, Vriska, especially after killing me. It was a really nice way to say sorry." That implies that they never did the split the first time. So this is a new Tavros, and the other
Okay.
Tavros is still out there. This isn't the Tavros that stood up for himself.
Then what's the other Tavros gonna do?
To this Tavros' point of view, he fell off the balcony Vriska threw him off the edge. He died, was in the desert a few minutes, didn't meet John, just in the desert a few minutes, and then bam, he was Tavros Sprite.
Okay. It didn't last very long. It didn't have the whole Pupa Pan pirate storyline.
No, that never happened.
Yet it did happen.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So we don't know about Game Over Ghosts, but there's at least Vriska, Mina, Aradia Solix, and Tavros.
And John and Woxy and Rose and...
Those were never confirmed to be shown. We don't know what happened.
Well, they're still the Alpha Selves, what I'm saying. They still exist within the plot of Homestuck.
Maybe. Remember, Mina's trick to kill the God Tiers and then scratch the session before they could revive means it is possible to jip out some of the Alpha people by having them the right amount of dead during a scratch so that they're just lost.
What do you mean? Wait, I don't understand this at all. What you're saying is that it's possible the Game Over Selves never had the time to go in the Dream Bubbles?
Yeah. That they died and then their corpses were retconned before their souls went to Dream Bubbles. Only the ones we've seen on screen, I believe, actually happened. The only thing going against that is that where was dead Rose before she became Rose Sprite?
Yeah, she had to be somewhere.
But you could argue that just because Nana didn't have a dream self, but she was able to be sprited. Jasper didn't have a dream self, but he was able to be sprited.
But Rose is a kid.
Where
She's a suburb player.
Yeah, but where do the souls of non-players and retcon players go, but still able to be... Okay, by that logic, if you were to kill... If Lord English were to double kill someone, but you still had their corpse and threw it into a sprite, nothing would happen, because their soul's gone. But then where do non-suburb player souls go?
Where do non-suburb player souls go?
Is it still within the corpse? Is that how it works?
I don't know.
Nana's ashes still contained her soul?
I mean, there's such emphasis that souls now are power. This is like a new thing.
Souls are a new thing.
But after
There's no such thing as magic, so their consciousness has to exist somewhere.
Yeah.
The only problem is for non-suburb players.
Like, this wouldn't even matter at all until that Caliborn scene with the house that proved that the souls are important.
Yeah.
So they have to exist somewhere.
Souls have been confirmed since Dirk was shown up as a hero of heart.
Yeah, but the Caliborn thing said they're
Caliborn
important.
says that they are important. It's not magic. They do abide to certain laws.
But we don't know the laws.
We don't know the laws.
What we need is another Oadia scene, like the end of Act 5, Act 2, where he was with Jade and Kanaya and explained everything there was about Dream Bubbles.
Yeah.
It was actually, you know what? It was Tavros, Jade, Kanaya, Oadia. I forgot, before Tavros went into the desert, he went with Oadia and got the whole explanation on how Dream Bubbles work. So he knows a lot about the bubbles.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
He was there.
He wakes up with the joust to his stomach still. He doesn't even know he's dead.
It's where Dave says he's in hell now because he's with Tavros for all of eternity.
Yeah, and that's
Dave.
the will Tavros. Huh. I completely forgot. Like, all I remembered was Tavros dies, wakes up in the desert. But no. The desert even is it isn't his memory either, it's Hussey's, so... Yeah. Well, it's his and Hussey's mixed.
Huh?
The desert.
The desert is
Tavros' land with Hussey's?
Tavros' land with Hussey's horses.
Okay.
There's potentially some Vriska. I have to look over again to see what he put there.
Amitabound has some Vriska in it. The bridges are there.
Yeah.
It's the bridge of
The
Vriska's
bridge.
Hive.
There's a little pirate ship there.
Yeah. It's a pirate ship in a bridge that leads into a desert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you mean Jade?
What's the callback to that?
I don't know. It doesn't need a callback. That was wrapped up.
The whole Jade Spite storyline. Jade Spite's the other character. Kind of got written off, but who really cares? He was like a bad version of Jade in every way. He was an example of what Jade doesn't want to be.
She became Jade.
Yeah.
That is an example of really mean Jade and really shy Jade mixing together to form a perfect middle.
What
That's
Vriska.
what Vriska needs to do.
Yeah.
If the two Vriskas were sprayed together, they might actually be a coherent player.
Yeah,
Like if the two Solixes were mixed back together, they might be able to beat Suburb with someone that smart.
Yeah.
That wasn't corrupted in one way, too good or too bad.
They need a perfect Solix, a perfect Vriska.
But they only have a
Yeah.
kernel. Well, technically two kernels. You put the halves together.
See, the
A
thing is
kernel and
with
two halves.
the Jade is that the two Jades combined, along with her experiences on the SIP and possibly exploring all the lands and having a guide to her powers, creates a character that is so unbelievably powerful that us has to just keep writing off. Not like write off of the story, but like, she's in dream bubbles, she's asleep. I can't have her awake, she'll just kill every villain in a few seconds.
Yeah, Jade's too powerful with her green sun power.
She has to be really, really far in Paradox Space.
Remember, the imps are also green powered, and his excuse with them is just don't mention them and the fans will forget.
That's a poor idea.
haven't
Where are the
Hussey.
imps?
Where are the imps? Give us the imps. We want the imps, Hussey.
Let's cut to a whole imp segment.
The Condis has summoner power. She could potentially mind control an entire unlimited spawning army of green sun powered creatures. And everyone's worried about the one Bec Noir that's coming in.
What if that's what Whiska's not realizing? What if she does have that? What if John goes, oh, right, let's beat up the Condis over and over
Well,
again?
that's going
And
into
then-
my old 2013 theory.
And then
of
all the imps are there.
The Lord of the Rings ending with 10 different armies fighting each other. That Hussey doesn't really have enough time to set up now. He kind of does. It's Casey's army. I had Casey's army, Tavros with the Imps army, Condis with all the Jacks,
And WV with the
and
Carapaces.
WV with the Carapaces. And then there's a few extra ones, like AH would show up with an army of fan trolls who die in one page.
Spade Stick with the Felt.
Spade Stick with the Felt. And then Hussey with the fan trolls die in one page.
You really want that to happen.
I want that to
don't you?
happen. I'm going to show up.
Is Hive Swap not enough? I mean, come on.
Yeah, the 100 fan trolls, the highest swap is you're going to pay that off.
And who knows how many Prongle people he'll sneak in that aren't real game NPCs.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando.
Where's Rando?
He's
I
gonna
just want Rando.
Marlon Brando's gonna be in the game.
All I want is Hive Swap is one object. I don't want a character. I don't want craziness. I don't want major plot points. I want one object to appear in it somewhere in the game. The Rando top.
The Wando
It
top.
all it does is connect to Prongle and automatically Rando people. That's all I want. I just want a Rando top. Why
So-
is there so much to ask?
When we come back, where does Hussey go?
It's gonna be Dirk and Dave. Hey, sup? As the Dave Sprite callback, and that's it.
So what are we gonna get? Do you really think we'll get another 15 pages of Strider talking?
It is, yes.
Okay.
He might jump to Vriska, but that's too exciting right now. He's trying to make this the last mellow part of the comic before it ends. Once again, from a writing point, it'd be more interesting to follow Vriska, but it's still a video game parody, and we're at the final resting place, the last save point before the boss. So we have to remain in this very quiet, mellow area until the boss strikes first. Well, until the players willingly say, we have rested, we have saved our game, we are ready to continue, hit the button, all hell breaks loose.
Okay. But, like, even if Whiska does go in, it's not gonna be a giant flash. It's just gonna be whole walking through the bubbles trying to find Whiska. I mean, it's very, very obvious he's not gonna immediately warp to Funk Whiskas. He's gonna end up somewhere else.
Yeah,
He's gonna end up in someone's bubble.
yeah, she's gonna mess with some rando ghost characters, be really comedic, and then she's gonna meet up with Punk Vriska, and they're gonna do the mini strife scene where they're dashing at each
Yeah.
other with their weapons drawn, and Mina's gonna be in the background instead of Hussey, and Mina's gonna have a little thought bubble of the two Vriskas making out.
Yes.
You can't have two of the same characters meet without the make-out panel.
But where is Whiska gonna end up, is my question. Please let Whiska bonds in on Solix, Nepeta, Fefui.
She
Where are
might
they
end
at?
up at like Tavros's house or something with the
Yeah.
other Tavros. And that Tavros gonna be like, "You're back! I told you to get out!" And Vriska's is like, "Oh, this is some other Tavros."
It's gonna be the Pupa Pan one that flew off.
Yeah, this is the original canon Tavros.
Imagine the original Cantabros when he said, "I'm leaving." He really is leaving. He's got like a house now with a family.
Yeah.
He's just a normal
He's
dude.
some doomed Urania. They have little ghost babies. How does that? And Vriska's like, how does that even work?
And he's just had a normal life. He's got all these pixels from different vacations they've had. He's just like a normal family guy. He's wearing his Hawaiian suit from Paradox
He's got a
Space.
beard.
Yeah. He's cutting logs outside.
He's a lumberjack now.
Yeah. He's just an average generic family guy. And he's just like,
Tavros.
"Oh, hey, I thought you told you to get out of here all those years ago." He's got like a deep voice and he's all buff.
Hey, I'm Tavros. Aren't you supposed to be like a pirate and kill us all? Like, no, I started a family. Me and Urania and my kids. They're just younger doomed selves of us. It's kind of creepy.
Oh, that's creepy. That would be great. Just let's cut to that.
This is our angsty teenage son, doomed Karkat. I like teenage troll movies. I put a code in my computer and it blew up and killed me.
Wow. Carcat blew up his computer. He knew about loading us from that, didn't he? Because he put the code in.
They didn't know what it did. Solix worried about that code for years before he knew about.
Okay,
loading
so
the
Carcat knew nothing of loading us with the code.
He still doesn't.
What do you mean he mentioned loading us directly with Jade?
When? Oh, if you're going into the creature of pure void thing, that's never explained.
Why does he say that?
For a first-hand,
Okay,
this is
for those-
explicitly on screen. Vriska just told Karkat about Lord English right now.
Yeah.
This is his first
but
time hearing about it.
In Act 5, Act 2, he says to Jade, "Looking through the fourth wall will tell you truths about reality worse than a creature that turns imagination into pure void."
and that's
and
never
then
explained.
Jade says, "I don't think I'm quite following with this
We've
Carcat."
theorized over that for years now. You just have to put it aside till Hussey decides it's time to bring it up. Just like the Genesis frog.
I know.
Just like Mini Maple Hoof. Just don't worry about it. Worry about the small time theories. The big time ones, Hussey will explain in time.
I know,
In
I
the
know.
400 to 800 pages he has left.
But, like, Jade even says afterwards, "I don't think I'm following," and then Carcat says, "You don't have to follow." Like, he's real serious about, let's move on, quickly.
Yes.
What is it he's covering up? I don't understand. And I really, really like the theory that he's Caliborn's OC, and he put him in reality. I was just talking with Luna. I want to see a scene, a callback to the Jade Foley and WV Nightmare scene, where WV becomes Bacca, of Carcat becoming Caliborn's OC. Wouldn't these ears suit you? You know, that whole segment. I want to see another WV dream sequence. Which, by the way, do we know what that sequence means now?
It means Vriska's gonna do something and WV's gonna put on the ring. And the comics finally going in the direction that might finally happen. All these thousands of pages later.
We just gotta get past the slow part.
Yeah.
Which is, what, the Strider Reunion, and that's it? Then things get on the wall, or?
Pretty much. Unless he really does take the time to show them putting the portals into place and show them flying to their positions to start the battle and I could see them doing another really long John Jake chat and them having a tender moment before the fight.
Yeah, but he wants to end it. He doesn't want to go on all these scenes. I don't know, it's really hard to know where he's taking the comic. And I hope he's taking it somewhere good, okay? I hope he's taking it somewhere that will go, "Oh my god, that's a really great way to take it, Hussey."
I think that about sums it all
Yeah.
up.
I mean, there's nothing new we can now but wait. And then get our Strider chats.
Now, are you sure? Because you guys said, "Oh, there's nothing to talk about in this episode."
There really wasn't. That was a lot of just random theorizing.
Yeah.
And being upset that the Reddit guys don't like our random theorizing.
Yeah, I noticed the Reddit guys have a voice like this.
Yeah.
They sit in their basements. I don't think that's the Reddit guys. Worst episode ever of 91 Reasons. I think that your theories are not very sound. You're both banned from the android's dungeon. All right, well, you want to wrap it up? Go ahead.
That's all that really is to say on the matter.
That's it.
all, folks.
That's it, huh?
Yep. If you want to help out with the show, please leave us a 5-star review. It is the best way to support
We
it.
already said that. There's only one thing left to say. I'm the voice. I'm Jeff Tucker. I am joined by, as always, my Homestuck experts.
Austin?
Luna?
And together we are 91 Reasons.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?